Welcome to Happy Clubhouse for the review of the Bandai high-grade Universal Century 1144 Zaku I, something I've really wanted to take a look for a long time and something of a hidden gem among the Zaku kits as we'll soon see. And I think the Zaku I really gets less love than it deserves. It doesn't have the headlining fame that the Zaku II enjoys, and it's largely seen as a goofy and quaint little leftover from MS history. But I think it's a very interesting canvas for a lot of interesting remixes if you're a builder, and far too many people pass on it in favor of edgy MSs and big guns, so let's see if I can change a few opinions today. The HGUC Zaku I was released in May 2006 for a price of 1,080 yen. The box art depicting the iconic shoulder ram was done by B-Craft, also known as Junichi Yakutsu, who did a lot of the earlier HG boxes, though we really don't see it much around nowadays. The box measures 29 by 19 by 6 cm, so it's a normal HG box size. The short side of the box tells us that this is the 64th release in the high-grade Universal Century line, and the other information is the same as the front of the box. The side of the box gives us some in-universe info of the Zaku I, as well as a shot of the shoulder tackle once again. The other side gives us a bunch of studio shots showing all the cool stuff that we get inside the box, along with some highlights of the kit in text form. Inside the box, we get the Zaku I spread neatly across just 5 runners, with one of them being for the polycaps. We get a very Spartan sheet of stickers here with a black backing for the mono eye, and then a small pink circle for the mono eye itself, and then a bigger one if that's what you like. For the instructions, the back gives us some more studio shots of the kit that works with the color guide on the bottom. The inner color pages gives us info on all the different weapons we get in the kit, and then another small blurb here about the Zaku I itself. The top here is used for assembly instructions, and the entire black and white side is used for nothing but assembly instructions, as these things are. After about 70 minutes of assembly, we have the completed Zaku I here with its signature blue arms, blue thighs, blue cockpit hatch, and blue feet. Much more so than the Zaku II, the Zaku I immediately draws attention to its asymmetric design. Now you might say, this kit is old news, we have the far superior Gundam The Origins kit now, why would we ever want this obsolete thing? I'd like to make the case that the HGUC's proportion are actually far better for the Zaku I without that dinky head, and even more importantly, the HGUC kit doesn't have nearly as many panel lines, which are quite distracting to look at for something as simple and something as pure as the Zaku I. The HGUC kit here just looks more like a Zaku I should, clean and uncluttered. So let's have a closer look, starting with the movable mono eye, which the Zaku II also kinda had to give it some credit, but you had to open up the whole head just to adjust it. The Zaku I does have a switch here, but it kinda is a little hard to get to, and you're gonna need a narrow tool to move it, but it is there and it does work. And of course we can swap out the scalp for the one with the commander blade antenna, and that's very quick and easy to do. And if you have a sharp eye, you'll notice a small problem with both of these scalp pieces, and they don't sit flush with the sides of the head, and this is really distracting when the domed head is such a prominent part of the MS. So if you're good at sanding down your kits, you're gonna want to adjust the height of this middle part a bit to eliminate that stair step. And maybe you've also noticed this panel here on the collar, which you can pry off to reveal this slot here, which they insanely did in gray just to show off a little bit. That slot is for this original gimmick here, which is a rack to support the bazooka that fits right into place and has a small length of pipe that leads into the backpack. It's a curious little addition to the design, but it shows that the designers really wanted the Zaku I to be more than just a quick and dirty rendition of the MS. Now sadly this never caught on and you're only going to see this rack on this HGUC kit, but it is a cute little quirk to have. Now, this being an older kit, there are a few seams on it, like this one here on the shoulder armor, as we'd expect from a Zaku type mobile suit, and then this one that runs along the entire forearm, both front and back, and then a long one along the length of the lower leg, with a little bit of it on the front, and the thighs here have a long seam as well, so you're gonna have to do a little bit of sanding for a painted build. Then let's look at the mountain of weapons that come with this, starting with the Zaku I machine gun. This gun with a sideways mounted magazine is still something that you can only get in this kit and no other HGUC release, imagine that. The handle at the front can flip out like this, and the scope can rotate along its hinge as well. The magazine can be removed of course, and it's a really nice little gun that has everything you can expect of it, even if the magazine is hollow on the bottom side. The Zaku I must have his signature machine gun, and there really is just no substitute for this. Next up, we have the Bazooka, which is also unique to the Zaku I, and is also included with this kit, just like the machine gun. It's quite primitive looking, and it looks like a big tube with some handles attached to it, but the mechanical details on it do look good, and it gives it an air of realism. The back skirt has a panel that flips down into a rack which can hold the bazooka, although it's a little loose and you're often going to bump it out of place by accident. But other than that, it looks quite handsome on the Zaku I. And unlike older kits, the Zaku I can hold the bazooka really nicely thanks to this hand tilted forward. It works well with the shoulder rack, and the engineers really went the extra mile to make sure that you can enjoy each of these weapons properly. Next up, we have another unique accessory, which is the Zaku shield in handheld form. It has spikes on the front, so it's meant to also be used as a melee weapon as well, and these were of course later moved onto the Zaku's shoulder armor on the Zaku II. The shield here has a beautiful gray piece that lines the inner side, and it looks a little bit like the cool stuff that custom builders might make. The shield itself is nice and thick, and it's very satisfying to look at and to have in your hands. Thanks to the square handle, the shield's not going to roll around when it's held, and it's going to stay in place like you'd want to without any fuss. And the weapons just keep going with the Strum Faust here. The head should be orange or red in color, but it shouldn't be super hard to paint it up that way. And it comes with this little clip right here, which allows you to store it on the Knuckle shield like this. There are 2 holes on the shield, so you're free to place it whichever side you like. Or, if you have 2 Zaku I kits, you can actually store 2 of these at once if you like. Next up is the Zaku's iconic Heat Hawk, which is molded as one singular piece, as these things usually are. You'll notice that it doesn't have an ugly peg sticking out of it for mounting, because it comes with this rack right here, where you can slide the backside of the Heat Hawk and lock it in. And then you can place it onto the side in any orientation you like, without it falling out by accident. That's a lot of weapons, right? But actually there's still one more weapon that's not included in this kit, but it very much belongs with the Zaku I. So here I have the G3 Nerve Gas Grenade Launcher that was given out as one of the gifts during the HG Customized campaign in the summer of 2014, so quite a while ago. They don't say exactly what this is, but if you've watched the 8th MS team, you'll recognize this immediately. The launcher is about as long as a bazooka, so in the hand it looks quite proper, and with it, you can create one of the darkest moments in Seema's life. For the hands, other than the normal fist, we get 2 trigger finger hands. This one here, that's a normal one for the guns. And then this other one, which we've already seen, that's tilted forward and used with the bazooka. And then we also get this open hand, which makes the kit much more expressive in poses. So really, this kit may not cost much, but there really is nothing budget about it. And if you watch my reviews regularly, you'll recognize these as a common Zeon type hands that are used with many other kits, like the very good high mobility Zaku II and the Giera Dolga, and included in all the system weapon sets. The hand seems to have originated in the kit right here, but do let me know in the comments if you know of any earlier kits that also use these hands. And old as this kit is, we have a panel right here on the bottom side of the hip that reveals a poly cap for an action base, which makes a world of difference for posing. And speaking of posing, let's look at the articulation. Starting from the top, the head goes up this much, and it goes down quite a bit. It does turn a full circle if you angle it a little bit to avoid the shoulder armor. The shoulders swing forward here despite this being an older kit. And the right arm swing outwards this much. And the left arm manages about the same, thanks to the shoulder armor that can get out of the way. The arm can swing around a full circle, of course, with nothing getting in the way. The biceps allow the arms to rotate a full circle. The elbows are double jointed, and this was one of the first Zeon suits to manage close to a 180-degree bend, which is a world apart from the older Zaku II kit. The hands can be adjusted on their ball joint, and they rotate around a full circle. The upper torso allows for a slight dip forward, but it doesn't dip backwards at all. If you pull up the torso a little bit, you can rotate it a full circle around without any problems. The front skirts are connected as one piece and you can't split them, and they swing up this much. The side skirts swing up a little bit, and the back skirt is fixed and it doesn't move. The legs can be adjusted on their ball joint, and they kick forward 90 degrees, and backwards not a whole lot. The double jointed knees is very ahead of its time, and it gives the bulky legs a bend of more than 100 degrees. The feet are on an offset double joint, and they can swing out this much. And they swing backwards this much. And if you pull the feet down, they swing side to side this much. So I don't have to tell you that the Zaku I kit is considered a hidden gem by many because of the articulation that was way ahead of its peers from 2006. So just what else did we get from 2006? We got the Zuda, which didn't have such a nice elbow, and then we had the Gelgoog, which had mostly 90 degrees bend with single joints. This kit moves like it's from the future, and it was the most well-articulated Zaku until the Gundam The Origins kit came along and took its crown 9 years later. Now, some people strangely hate on this kit because they can't do a full kneel, in a bid to say that, the kit isn't as good as some people say, but you know what? With a bit of resourcefulness, that isn't a problem like this right here. Kneeling ain't gonna stop our boy Zaku I from using all its accessories at its disposal. And for size comparisons, here's the lower end benchmark, the entry grade RX-78. And then, here's the upper end benchmark, the high grade New Gundam. Unsurprisingly, Zaku I matches the height of the RX-78, like most MSs from the era, so they're actually both dwarfed by the very large New Gundam, but really no surprises here about its size. With all that said, here's a Hobby Clubhouse 3-point verdict on the Bandai high-grade Universal Century 1144 Zaku I. Number 1, it has unique weapons. The machine gun, the bazooka, the knuckle shield are all things you can only get with this kit, maybe with the exception of the machine gun, which you can technically get with the Zaku I sniper. This is the most complete and comprehensive set you can get of the Zaku I, so if you're a fan of the MS, you're absolutely gonna love this kit. And number 2, it has excellent articulation. I mean, I know we're repeating the obvious here, but you really won't ever suspect this is something from all the way back in 2006. And the more important thing is, you can buy this today, and you can still enjoy it without too many complaints. I mean, heck, we occasionally get kits today that don't have such good articulation. So, if 90 degree bends really break the deal for you, the Zaku I has you covered. And number 3, it has simple classic aesthetics. I've said this for more than one of the older one-year war kits like the high-grade Zeon, that these older HG releases are preferred sometimes because we really like their clean looks that aren't cluttered with too many shifting panels and panel lines all over the place. Sure, RGs are impressive and all, but sometimes we just want something closer to the goofy looks of the original animation. And make no mistake, the Zaku I really does look goofy and it's not that cool, but that's precisely why you might want to buy this version of it. So that's a review of the HG Zaku I, a kit that punches way above its weight, and it's a fruit of some very ambitious engineering. Maybe because there was far less oversight for a Zaku I kit, so the designers could just get away with doing whatever the heck they like, so we ended up with something that was indeed way more ambitious than other kits of its time, a truly fitting praise for the grandfather of all mobile suits. Thank you so much for watching. Come look us up on social media with updates on upcoming videos and sneak peeks at future projects, links are in the description below. Or hang on here some more with one of these other videos. But before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos from Hobby Clubhouse, and I'll see you next time.